forwarded with that application, which is due October 15th, and then adopt the resolution which was included in your staff report showing the city's intent to apply for this brownfields cleanup grant in the amount of $200,000. So with that, myself and Mr. All are available for questions for this grant application.
Are there any questions for our staff members? Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak having to do with this grant application? It's a really good one. Come up, chat. Okay. That being the case, if there's no discussion in the council, nobody wants to speak, we could use a motion.
I move staff recommendation to adopt the resolution showing our intent to apply for the EPA Brownfields Cleanup Grant in the amount of $200,000 to conduct cleanup activities on the Gladstone Savannah.
Second.
Third,
Okay.
fourth, fifth.
We had a motion made by Ms. Juneman. It was seconded by Mr. Nephew by a tenth of a second. Any further discussion necessary? All in favor say aye. Aye. It sounded like ayes all. And so the next then is Walzer Automotive used car sales, conditional use permit, 2590 Maplewood Drive. Mr. Ekstrand?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The request this evening is by Mr. Don Schilling, representing Walzer Automotive Group. The request is for a CUP to simply sell used cars. This is an existing dealership building over on Connor and Highway 61 in the location shown on the map on our screen. I believe it was a Mitsubishi dealership most recently, but code requires a CUP for the sale of used cars alone. It had been a new and used car dealership, which was allowed by city ordinance. But the fact that they just want to sell used automobiles requires the CUP. Staff is recommending approval. It seems a good fit for this property. It's all set up for it. The applicant did already do re-landscaping and building refurbishing to bring the building into a nicer image. So staff is recommending approval with the conditions on page 2. Basically, it's the first 3 conditions for a CUP that are always noted from our ordinance. Fourth, all activity shall be confined to the site. There should be no loading or unloading vehicles on street right-of-ways. Fifth, the applicant shall comply with and observe the city's noise ordinance as it relates to PA systems or other business activity. And sixth, they comply with all city ordinances for signage and parking. So with that, I'm happy to answer questions.
Are there any questions for Mr. Ekstrand? Mr. Juneman?
You said re-landscaping and upgrading. God knows re-landscaping could be a necessity. And are you aware if the applicant is aware that we do not allow dealerships to park on the lawn, contrary to what some of our other dealerships on Highway 61 persist in doing?
That does happen. I know he's aware of that.
Okay. And we don't like people very well who do it persistently?
Correct.
I won't name names tonight.
I move the conditional use permit.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay.
Wasn't that sweet? You can still answer discussion.
I have one item of discussion, and I'm pretty sure I have it straight, but as I drove by to look at the building, it looks about the same as it did, a few improvements and whatnot, but and once again saw the building to the north, and so my question is one, so Walzer versus Klein now owns the building to the south? I mean, is that new ownership?
You own it? I believe.
We have it on a contract, long-term lease.
Name, address.
Don Schilling, Director of Facilities for Walzer Automotive Group. Mayor, member of the councils, we have a contract on that site with an option to buy with a long-term.
Okay.
But the ownership is still with
You're in
Klein.
full control of the site.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
That'll make it easier for them not to plow.
No, Mr. Lannis?
Really quick question. I drive by that building every day, and my concern is not the 61 side of it, but it is the residential side to the back end, or what would be the east side of the building, that often overflow vehicles or whatever have been stored there traditionally from the previous tenant that I think there's a fenced-in area, and then there's some storage area back there. My concern is that as you go forward, should this be approved, that consideration be given to the aesthetics of the neighborhood with some of the residential sides for that to help you take that counter route. So it just doesn't look done. I guess that's what I would ask.
Yeah, the lot has been, Mayor, member of the council, the lot was repaved and restriped, and the outside of the building was painted. There is a small dumpster enclosure in the back that's surrounded with a fence that was repaired and rescreened. The site has several mature trees along that entire property line. I don't know what the request would be for additional screening or.
Let me expand on that a little bit, because he's going the same place I was. The previous owners and your neighbors to the north, which I believe are in violation of their conditional use permit, but the previous owner on that site had a lot of crap behind the building. Bin full of old tires, and just a lot of junk that looked bad when you drove by. And it was unkept. And to the north, it's still that way. I don't know how they can have those trailer things with snowmobiles or ATVs piled on top of them. I can't imagine any scenario where we allow that. And so that still looks bad. And so they should be talked to. And we would hope that you would look nicer.
What I would point out as director of all the facilities, as a corporate standard, there are some things that as the property owner on the other sites as Walzers that we don't allow. One of which is not parking on any landscaping unless it's a design display pad constructed and installed typically within a development plan or a site plan. We don't allow painting on the windows, no gorillas on the roof. Those are all practices that we just chose not to choose not to participate in. So the site, when we took it over, all of those containers, those moved on, and the site, the way you see it today, is, with the exception of some more inventory, obviously, that'll come on site, is pretty much the way it'll be kept.
And I only point that out because, as Mr. Rausbach pointed out, that the previous tenant was not maybe as sensitive to his neighbors as it appears that you are. And so we have it on record that you're going to be more mindful of that. And I appreciate your commitment to helping my neighbors like where they live and driving by your place of business. Thank you.
Thank you. We're both kind of your neighbors, so
Drive by.
do a good job, please.
Absolutely.
All right, I didn't write it down. Who made them?
I did.
Okay. All right, so as we just said, Mr. Copen made a motion. It was seconded by Mr. Nephew to approve the conditional use permit for Walzer Automotive. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Ayes all. All right, then we have rezoning within Gladstone neighborhood, properties near the intersection of Frost Avenue and English Street. Mr. Ekstrand.
Thank you, Mayor. This is our final rezoning exercise that we're going through for our recent 2030 comp plan update. You might, as I'm sure you're aware, we've gone through several of these throughout this summer and, well, this whole year. We had several to do to bring various zoning districts in compliance with what our comp plan became. This Gladstone neighborhood was also, as you've recently been kind of revisiting, we have a master plan created. We built our comp plan off that master plan. It dealt with creating a lot of mixed-use areas and multifamily residential. So what this request this evening is to ask for approval to rezone the properties shown here on the map. The yellowish areas, as we can see, would be rezoned from what they're showing as R2, BC, and M1 to R3, multiple family residential. The other areas, the remaining areas, kind of outlined in heavy red lines, would become mixed use. And this would be to match our comprehensive land use plan. And in fact, the city or state law requires that we do make these changes to match the comp plan. The city council has discussed this fairly recently, the revisiting of the Gladstone Neighborhood Redevelopment Plan, and staff will be, and the Planning Commission will be looking at revamping or creating perhaps a specifically designed mixed-use ordinance, a written ordinance for this neighborhood, or we'll at least we'll begin by looking at what we have on the books right now, seeing what changes are necessary to focus in on this Gladstone neighborhood. Maybe we'll find that it's all okay as it is, or maybe we'll make a lot of recommendations and such, but that'll be revisited in the soon upcoming months. So, well, then it'll be coming before the City Council. But this evening we're asking for the rezoning of these parcels shown to multifamily, residential, and mixed use. Thank you.
In our previous discussions about it, we talked about, and I can't remember the proper terminology at the moment, but an additional step in the zoning having to do with which street frontages it was and that type of thing.
The form-based zoning?
Form-based?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Is that's part of what we're going to be looking at?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is. Yeah, and that certainly would be part of our revisiting of the mixed-use ordinance. We like that concept, and that's what we're going to explore. So,
okay.
And we'll be bringing that to you.
Are there any other questions of staff? Anybody out there dying to say anything about this?
Thank you very much. Diana Longry, 1771 Burr Street. I just wanted to make a clarification. Looking at the maps, I wasn't certain if the savanna, the open space, if the land use is consistent with the zoning. So I'm not sure. Can that be clarified?
Mr. X-Friend, is the land use on the Savannah consistent with the zoning?
I'm looking for my land use map to put on the screen. The land use, this is our current land use plan. The entire savanna is shown as open space presently. We're not recommending any changes to the savanna. We don't have an open space zoning.
So then, just to clarify then, the zoning that was on it that showed a portion of it as some other use has been deleted?
Not deleted, it's just, it's remaining. We don't have, we don't have a specific open space zoning. The open space is, the land use plan trumps the zoning. The open space is what it is, I guess, regardless of the zoning. We didn't recommend a change to that because we don't have a compatible open space zoning. I know it was discussed, I believe, at an earlier council meeting, creation of an open space zoning or park zoning. That's something that we will be exploring as well, but we just haven't gotten there yet.
Okay.
I think that might be important, especially if you're looking at the grant that you're looking at, which is particularly saying that, as I understand that grant, is for restoration of a brownfield into an open space and into that kind of a use. It might be nice to have some kind of indication that it has that same kind of zoning, and that might be helpful. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Mr. Nephew.
I just wanted to add the comment that when we did have that, I believe it was a workshop about this, I believe that the council did give direction to staff to work on doing a zoning district that we could use throughout the city for open space parcels. Even though as a function of law, obviously the comp plan is the guiding element, there's a lot of potential for confusion amongst our residents if they look at something that they know as open space in a zoning map and see that it's zoned industrial or business commercial or something like that, when that's obviously not what it's ever intended to be anymore.
Yes, absolutely. And I'd just like to add that we're well aware of that directive. It's just that we're under the time constraint of having to get this all handled before October 25th, and we can do so with this recommendation this evening, but we certainly will be bringing this before you.